Hey, and welcome to Friendly Fire. So, this is a brand new series for the Love Our Spark channel. And the idea of it is basically there are going to be friends, colleagues, and experts in various parts of mental health, specifically more towards ADHD, but all other areas as well, that come in and basically do a few minutes talking about ways in which you can help your mental health, ways in which you can look out for different things, and maybe just some educational ideas along the way. Now, if you don't recognize me, I am up for the challenge. I am not the main person for this channel at all. I am one of those friends and colleagues, as I say, that's coming in as episode one. Lobao, who is the main person for the channel, is taking a break. But this is not going to be a one-off thing. This is going to be continuing even when Lobao is back with us. This is going to be hopefully alongside podcasts, maybe once a month, just to bring in the idea of a community, which is kind of the whole point of Lobao Spark, of podcasts, and of coming together and helping each other in mental health. That's why we're here. So, as a mental health facilitator and educator myself, I don't specifically suffer from ADHD, much like many of the guests that Lobao has, but I do have lived experience in mental health, and I've also worked for mental health charities and around various other things in education as well towards it. That's kind of where I come from when I'm talking about these things. But I'm going to do today is talk about specifically the idea of looking after yourself when it comes to your mental health. Now, many people, if you know me from my own channel or from anywhere else, will know the analogy I'm about to use, but I think it's one that is important and should be spread a lot more. And I think it's really important for times like now when Lobao is off taking a break just so he can recharge and be ready for himself, to let people know they should be taking that time for themselves and why. So I always use the same analogy, and basically it's the idea of looking after yourself and turning on your light first. Now the reason for this, and what I mean by turning on your light first, is so many people that suffer mental health issues of whatever form tend to find themselves as relative people pleasers, especially if it is a mental health issue that they themselves suffer, because they don't want other people to suffer the same way that they have. They recognize the signs, they recognize how to help, and they want to. The problem is, of course, is that you then end up not taking care of yourself. And you may push yourself too much trying to help someone. You may bring yourself under pressure that doesn't need to be there because you're pushing yourself. You want to do more. You know you can do more, but of course your body doesn't necessarily want to keep up with your mind. And so when we think about turning on your light first, the analogy I use is of being in an old house, a corridor, where you're in one room at one end of the corridor, and the person you need to help is at the other end of the corridor. Completely pitch black. You can't see the room. Even if you look out of yours, you can't look to theirs. And you hear a scream, you hear a call for your help. Now, usually most people are going to say, well, I need to help. I need to run towards them and help them because I can, because that's what I need to do. I can see them in pain. But the problem there is that if you simply run to turn on their light, to make sure that they are okay, what happens? Well, because you can't see where you're going, you'll trip, you'll fall, you'll be battered and bruised, cut, and you will continually have to keep getting up. Now, by the time you've got to them and turned their light on, yes, you've helped them. You've turned on their light. You've made sure that they are okay. But it's taken you far longer because you've had to keep getting back up. And when you get there, you're covered in those bruises, in those cuts, and you are not okay. You are now in some distress because you made sure to turn on their light before yours. Now, of course, the other way of looking at it is when you hear that call, when you hear that scream, turn on your light. Just press the light and see that bright light not only illuminate your room, but also give some lighting to the hallway. So now you're okay. You can make sure, okay, I'm all right. Oh, there's nothing by the door. Okay, I'm good. And now when you see the corridor in between, the hallway, well, you can see that little bit of carpet that had come up that you didn't notice before, that nail that's sticking out of the wall where you needed to put a painting up. You notice these things and you don't trip, you don't fall, you don't cut yourself on that nail. You get to the person you're looking to help almost immediately because you're not having to worry, you're not having to pick yourself back up every time. So not only have you made sure that you're okay, you've got to the person you wanted to quicker and helped them quicker, and both of you are now okay. Because so many people say, yes, but helping others makes me okay. No, it makes you momentarily feel better until you notice those bruises and those cuts. The immediate feeling may be one of goodness because you know you've helped them, but you actually slowed down. You picked yourself back up again. This way, you are okay. And yes, it feels weird making sure that you're okay, turning on that light first because, oh, well, but I've got to help them. But the problem is you're never taking any account of how you truly are. All you're doing is taking account of them. And by doing that, you don't really know how you're feeling. And if you never turn on your light in the end, there will be no one left to turn on theirs. And that's the biggest problem. Now, you'll have a lot of people that go, yes, but I'm okay. You know, when I'm looking after myself, I make sure to drink water. I have my medication. And they'll give you the same answers that they expect you to be asking, but they won't actually think about it very much. So what they're doing is they're giving you those markers. Now, when we look at the analogy, the way that we can look at that is the same as having a candle. Instead of turning on that light, you have a candle. It's kind of doing the job. It's not quite, you know, you've had your water, you've had your meds. So you've got this candle. Now, yes, it can barely illuminate the hallway. You can just about see that nail in the wall and that chip of carpet. But the same thing happens there as would do in real life if all you're doing is making sure, oh, I've taken some meds and I have my water. All it takes is one moment, one issue, one gust of wind, and you're back to square one. You're back to where you were before. It may seem as if you are pushing. It may seem as if you're taking care of yourself, but in reality, you're just not. You need to make sure that light is on, not just the candle. And it's, again, will feel weird. It will feel strange. It will feel wrong to so many people because we're told that that's selfish. Looking after yourself, it's selfish. Making sure of yourself is selfish because all anybody hears is self. But when you are making sure of yourself, you're making sure of everybody else as well. And in the end, you'll never have to worry about those moments that you fall and yourself can't get back up. Because now, who's turning on that light for someone else? Now that you've made sure that yours can't go on. I hope that's a little bit of help to some people and maybe made some people think about how they should be treating themselves as well as other people. Not just necessarily being that people pleaser that I know there is so much good and a great feeling to do. But making sure of yourself is so important as well. And I hope all of you out there think about that when you're moving forward, because we want you to be okay as well as the people that you help. That's episode 1 of Friendly Fire. These will be relatively regular. It won't be me. Next time it will be somebody else from the friendship group, from the support group, from the community, talking about a way in which maybe you can look after your mental health. Until next time, thanks everyone.